If you all can see this mind map, just type yes in the chat box. Great. So what I'll do is I'll just spend a couple of minutes to just show you. I will share with you this mind map. So I'm going to cover all this. Somebody who missed my earlier sessions, you can always you can access my videos. You just join my upcoming webinar. I'll tell you how to access the earlier videos. We have started this what is Six Sigma. We have covered this data-driven processes and decisions. Okay, inside that decision making without Six Sigma, decision making with Six Sigma. Defining Six Sigma with real world examples is what we had spoken last time. And calculating Sigma levels. Sigma level is not the final indicator, and common Six Sigma principles. These are something that we will touch upon today. How many of you attended my last session? Just type LS in chat box. If you found that session awesome, interesting, useful, fantastic, just put it in the chat box. I'll draw inspiration and start the session today. Thank you very much. Let me jump into this. Thank you very much. Now, so we introduced to Six Sigma. What I'll do is I will quickly recap for 5 minutes with your permission on what we had shared last time, so that there will be a nice overlap between what we had done last time and what we are doing today. So please type permission granted PG in the chat box. I sincerely need your permission, because people should not think that, hey, you're talking the same thing again and again. Okay, I'll take 5 to 10 minutes to have a nice overlap, so that when you listen to my videos also, you will see a continuity from last session to this session. So in the chapter 1, we learned what is Six Sigma, and we gone into the details of decision making without Six Sigma, and we also discussed about in detail about decision making with the Six Sigma, and we also defined what is Six Sigma. We also defined what is Six Sigma, and then we saw some real world examples. So I will start with the recap of the real world examples that we saw. So 3 real world examples. One is National Oceanic Atmospheric and Administration and Center for Disease Control and Prevention and Amazon shipments. Let's start the recap. So let's fly some planes. We saw these planes flying last time. Good. So according to this National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, air traffic controllers in the United States handle 28,537 commercial flights every day. Yearly, approximately 10.5 million. How many yearly? All of you type 10.5 in the chat box. 10.5 M, 10.5 million flights. So now look at this. Just to give you an idea about what 5 Sigma, 6 Sigma is. A 5 Sigma air traffic control process, error of some type in the process handling is there is an error of 2,426 flights every year. All of you give a blinky icon, wow icon in the chat box. 2,426 flights which has some errors. Now, just to give you an idea, if you process with Six Sigma, the risk drops down to 35.41. From 5 Sigma to 6 Sigma, if you increase by 1 Sigma, then the error drastically drops from 2,426 to 35.41. Okay, if this is clear, type SC, super clear, in the chat box, and I will teach you how to calculate these Six Sigma slowly and steadily. Don't worry about that. All you have to understand is with 1 Sigma improvement, your error reduces drastically. So most of you are super clear. How this is calculated, we will show you shortly. And another example that we saw, disease control and prevention. So 51.4 million surgeries in the year. 51.4 million surgeries. Now, based on, I just want to know, is 99, like for example, 99.97, all of you type 99.97. Okay, I'm asking you to type for a reason. Is 99.97 accuracy good or bad? If it is very good, you type very good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good it is, 9 or 10 being very good. If it is 99.97, if it is very good, type 9 or 10. There are mixed feelings, right? Okay, let me help you understand. See, 99.97, doctors would make errors of 11,976 surgery each year, or if you see weekly, it is 230 surgeries which contain errors. All of you can send, what is that? What icon is that called? I don't know what that emoticon is called. Scary emoticon, right? Something like scary, not love emoticon for sure. Oh my God type of emoticon, right? So now please understand, I just wanted to show, yeah, this is Stephen Kai's right emoticon that he has put, okay? So at 6 Sigma, that drops to approximately 174 errors a year and only 3 errors per week. All of you give a thumbs up if you have understood that with 6 Sigma, your error level drastically drops down. I will give you a graph which indicates how it drops, okay, and calculations on how it is done. At 5 Sigma, the patients are 68 times more likely to experience an error. So 68 times more likely to experience the errors if it is 5 Sigma. Now, 99.9% accurate is not good enough, because I want to help you understand that most people accept 99.9% accuracy as is even good rate in even most critical services on a daily basis. But we have seen the huge difference between 5 Sigma and 6 Sigma. So please understand, it is just not about the error rate. It is also about the cost associated with this errors. I'll share with you one example to help you understand the cost associated with errors. Okay, let's look at some Amazon shipments. And see, in this Lean Six Sigma session, I wanted to be like, I don't want to rush through some tools and techniques and then finish your jump. I want to give you a lot of examples so that it gets injected into your blood and nerves. If you're finding this interesting, useful, fantastic, awesome, just put it in the chat box, because for all the efforts that I've done in making these presentations and animations that I've done, and thinking so much how to communicate so that there are across the world audience, there are across the industry audience, there are across the experience audience, there are across the position audience. So I wanted to make sure that I know that I cannot, convince or communicate all the people, but I try my best to make sure that I communicate to most of the people. Okay, thank you very much, each and every one of you. So you will get all these recordings. Please be a part of this upcoming session, and I'll tell you how to access these recordings. Okay, Amazon shipments. We shared this example last time. It is a quick recap, so I'll go through a little fast. In a Cyber Monday in 2013, Amazon processed 36.8 million orders. How many orders? 36.8 million orders. So every error, if an error is made in an order, it is going to cost Amazon $35 for every error. All of you type $35 in the chat box. This is just for you to reinforce these values, okay? For every error that is made, they are going to lose $35. And if you see how many orders was processed in this example, is 36.8 million orders. Now, if you see here, At 5 sigma level, there are 8,574 errors out of this 36.8 million. So at $35, the cost is over $300,000. All of you give a shock emoji. Shocked emoji, right? Shocked emoji in the chat box. So if you see, if the quality is improved to 6 sigma level from 5 sigma, just 1 sigma improvement, the error drastically drops from 8,574 here to 125 only, which cost them only $4,379. So if this is awesome, give it a thumbs up for Amazon, like this. I just want to realize the importance of these numbers. So the cost difference, if you see, it is $295,000 because the current is at 5 sigma levels. This is the difference between $300,000 to $4,379. Right. So let's look at different levels of sigma. I just want to let you know that we saw at 6 sigma level, they will be losing 4,379. At 5 sigma level is 300,000. But if you see at 4 sigma level, it drastically increase. It drastically increase. And how does this, how are these numbers got is something I'll share with you shortly. But all I want you to understand is this. At very low levels of sigma, any process is unlikely to be profitable. Okay, how many of you at least agree to this? If your variation is very high, if error rates are very high, that means your sigma level is low and you are likely to get affected in your GPS, particularly P of GPS. That is, profitability is going to get affected. So 6 sigma is a good target to have for most companies. They aim for to go towards 6 sigma, which is almost like 3.4 defects per million opportunities. And they strive for continuous improvement for that. Even advancing from lower levels of 4 sigma or 5 sigma has a drastic impact on cost. Okay, 1 sigma you can try to improve. Now we will go slowly to calculate 6 sigma levels. Okay, if you're ready, just type ready in the chat box, and I need a lot of your focus. If you miss the focus, then you will not understand this. And this is the most challenging thing to understand this portion. So how many of you are focused? Type focus in the chat box. Let's calculate the 6 sigma levels. Now, I'm going to introduce you to some terminologies. All of you type some easy words first. Please type defect in the chat box. I'm going to introduce, please take a lot of notes, okay? First word that I'm introducing is defects. The second word I'm going to introduce is units. Please type units in the chat box. And the third word I'm going to introduce is DPU. Please type defects per unit. So far, if it is clear, type super clear SC in the chat box. So I introduce defects, units, defects per units. Now type the word opportunity in the chat box. Now type the word DPO in the chat box. Defects per opportunity. So we said DPU, which is defects per units. Now DPO, defect per opportunities. And the last that you want you to learn is DPMO, defects per million opportunities. Okay, do you all find this interesting? Type interesting in the chat box. We'll go slowly and steadily. And this is, if you leave this session with a thorough understanding of this, you will become more valuable than anyone else. Now I'll recall all this. I said defects, I said units, I said defects per units. Then I said defects, opportunities, and I said defects per opportunity, and then I said defects per million opportunity. Now, I'll share with you very simple example, and then I'll go into the little bit of an elaborate example. Please don't lose focus. I'll share with you a very simple example. This is applicable in all processes, irrespective of manufacturing services, but I'm sharing with you a day-to-day simple work. Let's consider a marketing department. The marketing department is actually distributing letters to customers or prospects. Customers are there, they are posting, for example, bank, if you see ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank or American Express Bank, they put it in the cover and distribute the letters. Now, please imagine that they insert 30,000 letters every day. 30,000 letters every day like this. They insert like this, okay? So in a given business week, it is 150,000 letters. So far, if you are with me, just type WU with you in the chat box. How many of you are with me so far? Type WU in the chat box. Simple example, right? Now, what the marketing department, they start receiving the complaints. The people are receiving the envelopes and they see their address, but inside that, the content belongs to someone else. When they open it, they find, hey, address is mine, but the content inside is someone else. So what the marketing department does is, it said, hey, hold on to the dispatch, I wanted to verify. So it selects 1,000 letters, and then it found 5 of them had errors. 5 of them had errors. So how much percentage error is there? Let's see. Or how much percentage is okay? How much percentage is okay? Let's look at the other way around. Okay, error we know. How much percentage is okay? Okay, there are mixed numbers, right? Okay, it's a simple calculation. 5 of them had errors out of 1,000 letters. So 0.5 out of 100, 0.5 percentage. Now, applying that logic, if 5 letters in 1,000, how much would be for 150,000? Because 150,000 is being dispatched every week, right? So if you extrapolate that, out of 1,000, they found 5. Out of 150,000, how much would be there? The errors would be there. And the answer is this. If you have understood this, give me a 9 or 10 if it is clear. It's a simple mathematics. If it is clear, type SC, super clear in the chat box if you have understood this. I'm taking a very simple example which everybody can do it in mind. So 5 errors out of 1,000 letters, if you extrapolate that, out of 150,000 letters what has been sent, 750 letters had errors. So the letter process has 150,000 opportunities. It is called, since 150,000 envelopes are put, that each of them has an opportunity for having a mistake. And an estimated 750 defects. So the good ones is 150,000 minus 750, and the total yield, we call it as, is 99.5%. It's a simple mathematics, and there's no big rocket science in this. And those of you who have understood this, type US understood in the chat box. Simple mathematics, okay? You can just use a calculator and calculate this. Now, the yield percentage is calculated from a table which is already populated. So don't worry about how to find DPMO. All you have to find out is yield, and from the yield you can find out what is the sigma level. Suppose if I say that the yield is 99.37 percentage, what is the sigma level? What will be your answer? Suppose if I say that the yield is 99.379%, and what will be your, that's from the table that you see. Suppose if I say that I calculate the DPMO and I say that I have got a DPMO of, let's say, 3460. If I got a DPMO of 3460, what is the sigma level? If I ask you, what would be your answer? 4.2. So there is a standard table that you have to refer to, and let me share that standard table with you. Let me share that standard table with you. Share. So if you can see the standard table, type ICS, I can see in the chat box. Good. All you have to understand is the calculation of yield is very easy. From the calculation of yield, you can see the sigma level and see that, oh, this is our current sigma level, this is our DPMO, and hence we can look out for increasing the sigma level. For example, if it is 4 sigma level, it is 99.38% yield with a defect rate of 0.62%. Okay, 100 minus 99.32. If it is 5 sigma level, look at how drastically it drops from 6209 to 232. And if it goes to 6 sigma level, it drops to 3.4. Can you see an exponential drop in the defects when you increase the sigma level? Type yes in the chat box. As of now, we are still, don't worry about how this table was calculated. Don't worry about that now. Okay, we have still not, we don't want to become mathematicians now. Now what I'll do is I will just share the sheet of this and give you one small formula in Excel sheet, which is actually, I will put it in the chat box. There is this formula, this norm.s.inv, and you choose that, and then it will automatically give you the sigma level if you know the DPMO. For example, if I copy this here, it will automatically give the sigma level of 1.3. If you copy this here, it will automatically give this 1.7. With the same formula, if it copy here, it will give you 2.3. Okay, I'm just copying it here. It will give you 3.5. This is automatically here, right? So use that formula, and then this is, see, this is how Six Sigma calculators are made with this formula. This is just an extra information that I'm giving you. If you found this useful, interesting, just type useful and interesting in the chat box, because this you're not going to use, but quickly, if somebody gives you, this is the DPMO, that we will calculate a DPMO now and then calculate the Six Sigma level. Now, what I'm going to give you is one small example of DPMO calculation and the sigma level calculation. How many of you are ready? This is going to be a little heavy. Are you eager to learn? Just type ETL in the chat box if you're eager to learn. So it is up to you to stay back or leave. Now, what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to erase all this, and I'm going to erase this also. I'm going to take a simple example of an invoice. How many of you know what is invoice? Type KNOW in the chat box. I'm going to take a simple example of invoice sheet. Now, I'm going to ask a few questions to you so that we can go slowly and steadily. What are the components in the invoice? Just give me a few components in the invoice. Instead of giving the components, what can go wrong in the invoice? Let me start putting that way. What can go wrong in the invoice? What are the mistakes people do in the invoice? Price, amount, quantity, value, address. I think this is awesome, right? People know what all problems will come in the invoice, calculation, all that. Okay, fine. Okay. Now, I'm going to say that is called opportunity. Can you see? Now, I wanted each and every one of you to tell me what all the opportunities in the invoicing error you see on the screen. How many do you see on the screen? 8 opportunities. Like all of you, what you type, the name address can go wrong, a contact detail can become wrong, invoice number can be typed mistake, item description, quantity, cost per unit, total amount, bank number, etc., etc. If this is clear, type SC super clear in the chat box. This is called opportunities, which is O. And the number of invoice is called as units, which is U. And this is called as opportunities, which is called as O. Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. And let me check. So we have 1,200 invoices and 8 opportunities. So a simple calculation. One unit has got 8 opportunities and 1,200 units has got how many opportunities? Please put in the chat box. If one unit has got 1,008 opportunities, that is called total opportunities. That is simple calculation of this into this. This is simple calculation of this into this, which is 9,600. Great. Fantastic. Now, the next question, I'll just pause the chat box. Next question. Totally, we found 10 defects and there are 1,200 units. So what is the defect per unit? Please put in the chat box. What is the defect per unit? 1,200 units, 10 defects. Defect per unit is how much? Defects per unit. So you find, if you see here, so many defects out of 1,200 units, and defects per unit is 0. If this is clear, type SC super clear in the chat box. So this is defect per. Now, if there are 8 opportunities and if there are 1,200, if there are totally 9,600 opportunities, okay, total opportunities 9,600 and there are 10 defects, okay, what is the defect per opportunity? 10 defects, total opportunity is 9,600. Just give me the formula, that's enough. So this is the formula that is there. Let me, okay, I will format here so that if this is clear, type SC super clear in the chat box. Now, this into 10 power 6 is nothing but defects per million opportunities. You have to multiply by this into 10 power 6. Just for the sake, just to make sure I don't make a mistake, I just have the formula ready so that if this is clear, type super clear. This into 10 power 6 because 1 million is equal to 1 followed by 6 zeros. So this is DPMO. If DPMO calculation is clear on a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10 if it is super clear. Now, we have seen in the earlier table, in the Six Sigma level table, if DPMO is this that we got, 1041, you have to see in the sheet where is 1041. What is the sigma level that you have got? Just put it in the chat box. What is the sigma level that you have got? And what is your yield? Fantastic. Now we will calculate with that formula the sigma level. And what I'll do is I'll just make the C12 as D10. What is the sigma level that you got? All of you put it in the chat box. What is the sigma level that you got? 4.58 with this formula, right? Good. And that is what the same thing that you see on this table when we have, suppose if I insert something inside, okay, if I insert here and I put this 1041 and if I put this formula here, I'll get 4.5. What I request you to understand here is this graph. So I'm just going to share with you that this graph of this defect rate, if it is at 1 sigma, it is at 67697612. If it is at 2 sigma, it comes down to 308770. If it is 3 sigma, it drops down to 66810. If it is 4 sigma, it drops down to 6209. If it is 5 sigma, it's 232. And if it is 6 sigma, it is 3.4. And this is how I'm sorry about that. And this is how the importance of increasing your sigma level. Just 1 second, let me. So if this is clear, if today's session was interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, just put it in the chat box. And what we will do is we will come back to this sheet and then go into the detail of this Six Sigma level in the next session.